It's Mamsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows, Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. With me today, I have Amanda, Marie, and Nick Motichka. How are you guys? So our topic today is building a brighter future, steps to shape a better uh, tomorrow. And we chose this topic based on the book that Amanda has written. So, Amanda, would you like to explain to the audience about the book and what does it mean building a better future for tomorrow, please?
Yeah, I wrote this children's book called A Better Tomorrow Starts Today. And essentially it's to empower kids to understand that they can even make a better tomorrow starting today by just even taking tiny steps starting within their school, like spreading kindness or starting a club or just even doing something that they don't necessarily always do. And so it's also about learning and making sure that we don't make the same mistakes that we've done in the past. And so I think so often we think like, oh, I can't shift my life or I can't create a better tomorrow because I don't know how, and it just seems so hard to get there. But really, in order to achieve anything, it's tiny steps each and every single day. And so I wrote this book hoping to inspire children to understand that they can make an impact, because often children feel like they can't make an impact. Are we still on? Because my Zoom just disappeared.
Still says we're live.
But my whole screen just disappeared. I'll just let you guys keep going. What do you think, Nick, about how can you create a better tomorrow, or how have you created steps within your own life to create a better tomorrow?
Yeah, this is a great topic and something that I think we all definitely have kind of our ebbs and flows with, where we kind of get caught up in maybe the more negative thoughts and then get to a low point. And it's when you then bring yourself out of that, whatever that takes for you, and then look back, it's like, oh, that was silly, and like I did that to myself. It wasn't, I mean, certainly a lot of times external conditions maybe like cause stress or whatever and bring you into that lower point, but at the end of the day, the situation that you're dealing with is, I mean, it's your reality, right? And so how, if you go to a negative place and get all, dark and low vibing about it, it's really only making it worse for yourself, because the situation isn't changing based on you feeling crappy about yourself. Whereas if you can, in that moment, in that place where you're a little bit lower, is to realize that, okay, this, whatever is going to bring me out of this, starts right here with me. And so to shift that, and I guess some tools that I've identified that work for me is just to get going. Like a lot of times I'll get in a bad kind of way when I feel a little bit overwhelmed with my to-do list or whatever it is. And it's kind of silly. And I know that some people don't recommend doing this, but for me, I like writing out what I have to do and then just start checking stuff off. And a lot of times I'll even write stuff on there that I maybe have already done just so I can check it off because it feels so good. And so just at the end of your work session or day or whatever, to look back and see that, oh man, I have actually made some progress here. It just kind of helps that forward momentum start to build. So yeah, I think this is a great topic, and yeah, I'm excited to hear some different tools that you guys have to make that work for you.
I'm just going to read one tiny part of the book because it ties in exactly to what you just said. So it says, what if we all made a promise to ourselves and peers today to focus on joy and not be so gray. So we were just talking about when you get stuck in that down spiral, and really so much of it is about just shifting our mindset. And then the next part says, everyone's doing the best that they can. Until they know better, things might seem like a jam. And so essentially that's when we know better, we can do better. And when we get frustrated with our situation or with other people, sometimes we just have to take a step back and realize, like, everyone's doing the best that they can with what they know in this moment. And so in order to shift and do better, we have to know better. And so when we understand sometimes where people are coming from or what they're struggling with, sometimes we can have a better understanding of why they're struggling with what they're struggling with, or why their self-regulation is not what other people's self-regulation abilities are. And so it really is sometimes just taking that step back. And I really like what you said, Nick, about writing things down. Because I read a quote the other day about when we write stuff down, how much more likely we are to actually get it done. And then also, if you have an accountability partner, how much likely you are to get it done. And I'm like you, where I feel completely overwhelmed and I start to be like, oh, how am I going to get all of these things on my list done? Because my ultimate goal is to one day, like, start a school where I can teach and create how I actually really want to teach and create, and shift the curriculum that I don't really love and build my own curriculum. And so, or build a curriculum with the community that is my school community. And so essentially, I'm like, how will I ever get to that point where I can start my own school? And I just have to trust and believe that eventually I'll get there, and I don't need to know the steps. I just need to know, like, my next step. And right now my steps are focusing on my books and learning how to build courses online. So, like, each piece, even though my big goal is something really, really big and seems almost completely out of grasp, I can still take tiny steps today and not just be like, well, there's nothing I can do because I don't know how to start a school. Right? I just need to trust that. At one point, there was nothing I could do because I didn't know how to write a book or how to self-publish, right? And then eventually the right people showed up in my life so that I could do that. And same with you, like, you have a very similar thing in Nomza. You didn't know how to start a talk show, and look at where you've come and grown with the talk show too. And sometimes it seems overwhelming when you're trying to create a better life for yourself, and really creating a better tomorrow for the world starts from within.
I love that, Amanda. Creating a better world starts from within. That's so powerful. And also what Nick was saying, writing things down. I think it is very, very important to write things down so you can go back and just take them out, whatever you've done. So, you know, I've done these steps, I've done all this. And also, Amanda, I love it when you say you don't have to know all the steps. You just have to know that present moment where you're going. The rest, it just happens natural. And I was like, I'm studying. I need to, like, I'm like you want to create the school. I want Ngozi Talk Shows to be the university one day, but I need certain qualifications. So I've got another 2 years that I've added for my degree. So I've registered university. I've started yesterday, my module. And I was like asking one of my children, like, when do I have to submit this module? And she goes, July. So I was like, oh, I'm not used to this kind of a thing. I'm used to where I was studying before, where I have to submit an assignment every 4 weeks. So I was like, okay, so this one I've got time, but I can study my own schedule. And at the end of the day, I'll end up getting there where I need to be. I don't need to worry about the bigger goals. I've written the bigger goals. All I need is step by step now, put it into small chunks so I can actually get there. And when I was reading your book, I was like, this book is very, very, I could see my daughter, she was like reading out loud, and I'm saying, can you read it in your heart? Because I'm reading as well. So in the end, we ended up reading the book out loud. And we were talking about it until the end, until we finished the book. So Kayla was reading the end. Oh, Amanda, and today I'm going to show her the video. I was like, oh, you remember, Amanda, the book you read? So I'm going to show her, just let her to actually absorb the information. So today I'm going to say, you remember the book you've read? Let's go and meet Amanda, because she was like, oh, she lives in Canada. She lives with her daughter. I was like, yes, she does. She was like, That's really awesome. So yeah, it is amazing how we can actually create our own life, and we are the ones that can actually create a better tomorrow for ourselves, for our children. And as the individual, we have the power to make that difference. And Amanda, your book is actually it's actually a good book to actually read for the children, because sometimes when you read some books, it don't make sense. So the book that makes me engage, that makes me think, oh, I need to create a brighter future. So to me, that is really amazing. But what I need to know is what actually drove you to actually write this book? What was in your mind when you actually began to say, okay, I'm going to write this book?
Well, I don't actually remember when I scribbled this one down.
There's been many.
So this one, I know I wrote one, and it was called What Do We Learn in School? And essentially it is about how what I teach, they're not going to remember in 20 years. They're going to remember how I made them feel. And essentially that was when I came home after school after a really rough day of kids fighting, and I just like scribbled it all down. And then this one, I don't actually remember when I scribbled it down, because I scribble everything down in like a notebook. And then I slowly start to create the images. And this one, it took me a long time because the pandemic hit. And then I had like zero motivation to do anything because I had been teaching in front of the computer all day. I didn't want to come home, be home, and then work on the computer all night too. And so I ended up really in this dark hole of not getting a lot done. And I finally got this one done. I just published, I think in March or April of last year. So it's only about a year old. And it was because I felt like the world was really struggling too. And so it's my first rhyming book as well for kids. And so I thought like littler kids are so engaged when there's some rhyming and they notice the rhyming and different things. And I also wanted people to think a little bit critically about learning about the past and realizing that we need to not forget our history, learn both sides of our history, or all sides of the history, because what we're taught in school isn't necessarily the truth, that we need to look at all different perspectives and then make an educated assumption of what society might have been like in the past, or even what's going on right now in the world, is look at all sides and trust that the truth is somewhere in the middle. And so that's kind of the critical thinking piece that I was hoping to spark with this book, was to get people to really think critically about the past, about what they learn in the news, because there is parts of the book that talk exactly about that. So even a lot of what we're learning in Canada right now is some of the like truth and reconciliation of what actually happened to Indigenous culture in Canada over the last 2 centuries. And what we've been taught for the last 50 years wasn't actually the truth at all. And what we're learning is that Canada has a lot darker history than people assume, and that what we were taught in schools. And so one of the pages says, we learned about Indigenous tribes that were almost wiped out. I wonder why people chose to push them about. And then the other part is, I hear stories that are just not nice. I wonder, why do we allow things to turn into a vice? And that's one of the things that I really saw happening over the last 3 years that really scared me, was how we allowed the media and to put people and pin people against each other, how there was coercion and propaganda happening on all sides. And I kept always trying to be like, the truth to what's going on is somewhere in the middle of these two extremes. And so that's why I wrote this book, and why I hope that there's some underlying like really big critical thinking pieces in it that I hope teachers pick up on and then hint to kids as well. Because if you look even at the American media, that there's two sides and they're polar opposite. And you just have to trust that somewhere in the middle, you're getting something, some sort of truth from it. Because if you just pull clips from here and there, you can make anything shift in your direction and convince people that what you're saying is the truth. And so one thing that I really hope to promote with the book is that if each day, I'll do this part too, if each day we did one thing to make the world a better place, then we could flow with love and grace. And I know, Nick, your company is called Flow State Design, so that really ties into that. And why is it that you chose to call your company Flow State Designs? Because I know that flowing with positivity and consciousness is something that's really important to your brand and to your company, and how you're trying to make the world a better place in some ways through ethical clothing.
Before Nick speaks, you have people saying, hello, how are you? Some are saying their network is really bad. Hi, Ola. Hi, Ifti. We love you guys. Over to you, Nick.
Thank you. And hello, everyone out there. Yeah, so the name, again, it's kind of like your story, Amanda. I don't remember the exact moment that it kind of came to me, but the whole process has just really been basically a lesson in letting things flow. And so I came up with the name very early on after the idea came to me. But again, I don't remember the specific moment, but it has served as a reminder, like when things get a little, stressful, or I get a little worked up about things, it's like, okay, what's the name of the brand again? Oh yeah, okay, Flow. Yeah, okay, all right, let's stop holding on so tight and just let things happen. And when I've done that, that's when the best things happen. That's when the people come in that I need, and the right situation happens, and things go well, is when I let go of that need to control and hold on so tight. So I think more than anything, it's a reminder to myself to just let things happen. And then to take it one step further, I even, on the back of on the tag, the logo label sewn in on the back of the neck, it says, I relax, I let go, my life is in perfect flow. And it's so many times when I'm journaling or just reflecting on what's going on, at the end of my entry, I'll finish with that saying, and it'll be just, again, a reminder to myself that that's where the good stuff happens, is where we let go of that need to control the outcomes. And kind of go back to my first point that I was talking about, is that's when the good things happen too, right? Is when we're not holding on so tight. And also, yeah, sorry, I kind of forgot where I was going with that. But just to touch on what you were talking about, Amanda, was the division and whatnot that's been happening in the world. And it's easy to get wrapped up in that and to focus on all of the things that are wrong in the world. But it doesn't really do us any good to get stuck there, right? And so the real change and the things that you can actually influence start right here with yourself. And so whatever that looks like for you, whether it's starting that to-do list and just crossing things off, or whatever maybe tactic or thing that you do that works, you just got to start with yourself and show up as your authentic self. And I'll just tell a story about a moment where I did that, and it was with really good results. And it was actually the day that I resigned from my former career as a police officer. So it really, from the outside, should have been kind of a crappy day, like stressful, or just not the best day. But I, for whatever reason, just chose to just show up in my authentic self, which is like what you're seeing right now, is kind of that open and just being in the moment, and positive, and sort of all those attributes. And so I had a couple of other meetings that day and went and just was in a really good place, and then went to the police headquarters building in Calgary where I was a police officer, and met with this sergeant, she's a lady who's been around for a lot of years. And a lot of times in policing, if you don't know, as people get more advanced in their career, they get more and more bitter and jaded and negative and not much fun to be around. And I'm not saying that was her, but anyways, I'm just kind of painting the picture. So got to the headquarters building and had never met this lady before. And so we're going through all the paperwork and had to sign a bunch of stuff and turn in my badge, which again, that would have, from the outside, or even me thinking about it, that should have been like a really negative or hard thing to do, because my entire life up until the moment I became a police officer was like all about getting that badge. Like that was like the moment. And actually I have it right here too. So yeah, so that's like the big thing that you're waiting for at the end of your training and everything. It's a big moment to get that. And so I was turning that in, and but I wasn't in a bad place. And I mean, that just goes to show that it was the right decision for me. But so we're doing all the administrative stuff, and she took me to kind of meet some of the other people that I'd worked with before I went off work. And so we're just chatting and just having a good conversation, just catching up, and then went back to her office, and it was kind of getting time for me to leave. And she's like, I don't want you to go. She said, I just want to be in your energy all day. And I was like, in that moment, I'm like, okay, I'm on to something. Like when I can show up on kind of a harder day and have people not only feel that, but like feel it to the point where they would say it to me, is like, that's a good way to show up in the world. And those days definitely, I don't have days like that every day, of course. Like I have my ebbs and flows, but when I can show up like that, those are the best days. And it's it's kind of a good reminder, even just telling that story, reminder to myself to do that, because the results are amazing.
I love that, Nick. It's a very powerful story, because in life we have to we get excited about getting these qualifications, and then we work hard, and then they have it all, and then you decide, you know what, I want to do something else, and people will be like, you're crazy, you're comfortable, why would you want to start again? But you had that courage to say, you know what, I want to create a better future for my children. I want to tell a story. And one day there will be a story that you're going to tell your children that I did serve the community. And after serving community, I decided to go and do something completely different. And to them, they'll have that future, they'll have that picture image that, yes, it can happen. You can start things and then go somewhere else. And also, I like, Amanda, what you were saying, that preparing the children to understand more about the history, because what they learn in school sometimes is not what I can remember what I've learned in school, to be honest with you. The only thing that I can say I remember is psychology, because psychology is everyday life, involves critical thinking. Those are the things that I remember, and doing some research, like based on the mind, based on this, because this is what I do. So those are the things that I remember. But some other things are actually, if you ask me, I don't really remember what I've learned in primary school or secondary school. And also, Nick, as well, you are the example of the future. You can shape your own future if you have the courage. Most people, they don't have the courage. You find people that in the work, they're really, really miserable. and they tell you that I'm not happy because the owner of the company doesn't appreciate what I do. And then you find these people, they are at the top within the company. I'm like, why don't you just leave? And they're like, I can't. I've worked all my whole life here. Some people will tell you 20 years, I've been here for 20 years, I've been here for 50. I'm like, you can create another 1 year somewhere else. But it's just having that courage instead of staying in one place and being miserable. And we can shape our own future for another generation so that our children can see that, yes, it is possible. And Amanda, she's a teacher. You are an author, basically, and children that look up to you, when they read their books, there's a proud within them that they're like, I'm proud of my teacher. Sometimes one day there'll be a time where somebody will come and talk about the books that you've written, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's my teacher, Amanda. And that it gives a child a different view about the world. It gives a child a different view about what could be, the possibility of creating life, the possibility of starting something new. And some people, you hear them, they've been in a relationship that didn't work, and then they think it's the end of the world. And then in the work, it doesn't work, it's the end of the world for them. You can shape your own future. You can start again only if you have the courage, because you are the one, like Nick, was it Nick or Amanda saying everything starts within us? We have everything within us. We have the courage. We have endless possibilities that we can start, we can be something, but only if we knew what we are capable of. Instead of when you get disappointed or you get rejection, you dwell on that rejection. You just have to go on. You have to go on, because like Amanda, I saw your thing on Facebook where you were saying, oh, I'm looking for somebody to give me reviews on. I was like, what is she doing? The 10 people that she's looking for, she has people in the group. Why can't she just message everybody one by one? So that's why I started messaging people, say, can you guys give it a thing? And the book, I've heard you talking about the book, and I'm glad that you put that message, because I've got to read the book. You spoke about it, and I was like, yeah, I need to go on Amazon, but then I forgot. But yesterday, I just went, I'm going to have to do this now. So I went in and I was like, Kayla, let's just read this book. And then we read this book, and the book is brilliant. So what advice, Amanda, can you give somebody who wants to write a book one day, or somebody not necessarily writing a book, somebody who wants to write their own story, but in a different way to achieve the goals that they want in life, but they feel that, you know what, I don't think anybody will read my book or anyone will take me serious. So what advice can you give them?
Well, it's to connect with people who know what they're doing. And so essentially one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm building a course on how to self-publish. And so you really need to just start reaching out to people who've done it before and who are going to hold you accountable as well. And so I think an accountability partner is something that is huge, because otherwise we often fall back into our patterns. And so sometimes we need to really think of a goal that we don't know how to achieve, that also is big enough that it's going to drive us to do it and keep working on it, even when we're tired and we don't want to do it. And so often people get really excited about a new project that they want to do, and they're like, I'm going to write a book, and like gung-ho about it. There's like 98% of people who actually want to write a book and say, like, I want to write a book one day. Only 5%, I think I wrote these down the other day because I watched this webinar on it, and it said 5% of people actually will write a manuscript and get the manuscript done. Only 0.02% of people will actually get their book to publish. And so if you let that sink in, if this is really truly your goal, you have to strive above like 99.98% of people to actually get it to completion. That's huge. So you have to set a goal within yourself that's going to make you strive above 99.98% of people, because it's really that self-driven goal. Nobody's going to write it for you. Nobody's going to draw the pictures for you. I'm really good at writing. It's the getting the pictures done that takes me so long. And then the marketing and those pieces, that's the piece that I'm like, I wish I could just create and somebody would sell all my books for me, but I have to. And same with you, Nick, probably. It's like, I can design my clothing, but I have all this other stuff that I have to learn too, in order to get it out to the world. And so the one last line of this book is so important, because there's really is like two selves. Just like I said, there's two sides to every story. And so the last page says, each day we have a chance to make a positive impact. It really depends on how we choose to act. And in the picture, there's like a devil on one side and an angel on the other. And each day we really truly have two choices, right? We always have choices to act one way or the other. And the little devil could be like, just rest, you've had a long day, like watch a bunch of Netflix. Whereas the like driving, motivating one is like, no, you have this goal, get up and do it, even spend 5 minutes doing it. You can get there. I've got that. You've got this. Just do a little bit every day. And so if you start listening to that one a little bit more, that's like, no, you've got this big goal. Come on, having like that cheering section in your corner is going to help you get there so much faster. And so when you know that you're like, I want to make a positive impact, I just don't know how, start reaching out to people who are already doing that. How are you making a positive impact? So even being on this talk show, we talk about all different walks of life and different topics, all really to help people empower themselves. And so being on this talk show is also part of the steps that I take to make the world a better place, because I truly believe that through conversation and through connection and through collaboration, that's how we start to make the world a better place, one tiny step at a time. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, that really hit home, the part that you were talking about with the percentage of people that actually get to the publishing stage. And I think that's probably true in a lot of different areas of the world. Is it feels overwhelming to get to that point, to publish your book, to start whatever it is that is your dream. But that's what sets you apart, is actually setting that goal and then doing it. Because so many people talk a good game, but when it comes down to it, it doesn't happen for them. And so really it's kind of encouraging in a way, is how really easy it is to stand out in the world. And that's just to set a goal and then to follow through with it. Because again, there's so many reasons not to do it. And people get caught up in that, and then things fall to the wayside. And it's like, I'll just kind of reiterate, but it is encouraging that if you just stick to your guns and go out and do it, you're gonna move mountains basically at the end of the day, and you're gonna stand out. And then the accountability, like you talked about an accountability partner, I think that's great. And for me, I don't necessarily have someone externally, but I think that to-do list does hold me accountable, because it's not going anywhere until it's crossed off. And then kind of a more simplified example is, for me, if I don't write down my workout, I will get way behind, and then it's just so easy to just not do it then once you get like so far behind. Whereas if it's written down, if every day, and there'd be so much easier ways to do it, like on a spreadsheet or whatever, but I like hand write it out every time, because there's like this empty hole. If I miss that day, there's a hole there, and it just stares at me every time I look at the book where I write down my workouts in. And so just that simple act of writing down my workouts has helped me immensely to keep that motivation going. And so, I mean, everyone's going to be different, but I think the big key, certainly for me, is writing that down, is writing down the to-do list, writing down the workout or whatever it is. Or like for you, it's having an accountability partner, which I love. And it just keeps you going, and it makes it a lot tougher to just stop, right? And to come up with a million excuses, because we're really good, and our minds and brains are really good at coming up with 10,000 reasons why you shouldn't have the workout, why you shouldn't get up early to have the meditation, why you shouldn't crank that shower to full cold at the end. There's a lot of ways. So actually, I'll just tell a quick story. So last night I was not really feeling like having a cold shower. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just have a bath instead, because then I won't have to have a cold shower. And then I'm like, okay, that's definitely me trying to talk myself out of something that I know is good for me. So I just sucked it up and did it. And then that feeling you get after doing something that you didn't want to do, but you knew you needed to do, when you actually do it, it's the greatest feeling for sure. And it's so motivating, and then it keeps you going to do those harder, bigger goals that are on your list. So it is definitely kind of a positive loop that you can get in when you do push yourself to do whatever it is that you need, you need to do, but you don't really want to. That's it for me right now.
Nomza, you're muted.
Cold shower. Did you do it in the end?
Yeah. I do some like breathing. I do some Wim Hof breathing. I have the normal shower, right, and the warm, and then I do some Wim Hof breathing, and then I crank it to full cold, and then I stay in it I try and count about a minute. I don't know, I may be counting a little fast, but yeah, it sucks, but it is
so cold, the water, when the weather is really, when it's cold, is the water is cold, but the feeling is rewarding after.
For sure.
It's rewarding after. I think when you want to do something, you will do it regardless of whatever the excuses that people make. And I've realized that, like when Nick says that you write down things, I write things down on my diary, and I put it on my phone as an alarm clock as well. When the alarm clock, I can't ignore it. It means if I can't do it, I have to reschedule it so that to another 10 minutes until I do it. Once it's done, and then I move on to another task. And they don't have to be really big task. If I have a big task on the day, I don't stress out. I just focus on that big task. And then when I'm finished, I just gonna have to do other things. Like now I'm going to be studying, so that means I have to have my study days where I'm doing nothing. I just do the work in the morning, get up maybe 4 or 5 a.m. and do the work. And then after that, do the work a little bit and then just focus on my studies. But I have to write those days down, and that means that the phone goes off and I can't pick up the phone. If it's not an emergency, they can wait, clients can wait, or somebody else will deal with it. And also accountability partner is very, very important. That what Nick is saying, that you have to have accountability partner in order for you to get that motivation. And we do have people that we trust, people that motivate us, people that want us to succeed. And also you have to realize that not everyone wants to see you succeeding. And those things are the ones that end up holding people back, because when somebody becomes jealous, we start focusing on them. Why can they get this? Why can they get this? Normally, it's people that are closest to us. because they didn't start that way, the way we started. So instead of asking how we do things, they start becoming jealous, and then you start being lured into their website and stuff. So what you need to do, if somebody is changing their attitude towards you, towards your success, you got to say it in your heart that, you know what, Nomsa, I love you very much, but at this moment, I have a destination that I need to take. Like Amanda, she has a destination. That destination is to write books. Writing those books change people's lives. Children around the world, they'll read those books and they'll get to connect with her message, and they will change their lives. And then she has a school that she wants to build. So she needs to focus on that, to not being dragged down in other things that are negative. So when we are creating a better future, you also have to be prepared that some people may not like it, or even on Facebook, on social media, some people might react different. I had somebody that was sending me threads, like was sending threads in my office. And I took those letters to the police, and I got a message the other day on Sunday. The police is saying, actually, that was last year, July, as soon as I took the notes to the police, it stopped. And they said they have identified the fingerprints of the person that was sending me threats to my office, and they're going to bring them in for questioning. But it would have, if I wasn't motivated, if I didn't have people who are motivators, who are coaches around me, I would have said, you know what? What's the point of doing all this? And then somebody will come and start threatening you. Because this person went on my website in UK, I don't know, in Canada, you have to have a full address, a full office address on the website now. According to trading standards, you have to have a phone number. So my full address for my office is there, and my phone number is there. So somebody was writing to me, my office, with threats. So those are the things that you're going to have to go through while you're shaping a better future, while you're doing something in your community. But you have to, it comes along with it. But if you're not writing that story, don't focus on it. That's the advice I can give you, that don't focus on the story that you're not writing. I've had the family members, when I'm saying like Nick that is changing his dreams, like becoming a police officer, and saying, you know what, I think I'm gonna leave this police thing behind and start afresh. My family go like, Nomsa, are you crazy? When I tell them what I'm about to do, I tell them when I'm done, when I'm actually done anyway. And they're like, are you crazy? That cannot be done. You can't do that. So I'm like, yes, I can. I can do this, and I will. So now when I tell them when the plan, when I spoken to a coach, and the coach says, yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea, Nomsa. And then I start processing things. And then that's when I walk into the house and say, guys, by the way, I'm doing this. And they're like, what now? And I'm like, I've grieved with the process. Now the process is going. And then they just have to follow me where I'm going. So it's just the understanding the power of choices, the power of uniqueness, authenticity, what Nick was saying. Just be unique, regardless of whatever the message. If you listen to Amanda's book that she's written, her message is unique. When I read the book is not it's not a children's book. It's for everybody, but is written for children. I can read the book. I can relate to it as an adult, and I can go back, get some advice in that book message, and create my own story. But if she was somebody would have said, why don't you just write, focus on the children? But she wrote the book so that the parents, they can enjoy the book as well. I don't know whether she realized that anyway, because I enjoyed the book with Kayla. Actually, I'm the one that was reading it. And while she was reading, I wanted her to finish it so I can actually read it again. It is exciting. It gives me like a message to say, yes, I can create my own future. So I don't know, Amanda, did you realize actually you wrote the book for both parents and children?
Well, I wrote the book to hopefully inspire people to think critically about our past, present, and our future. And in order to do that, in order to get it in front of kids, I have to also aim to like attract the adults as well, right? And especially teachers, because teachers are so busy and they've got so much going on. And so in all of my books, all my children's books anyways, at the back I always put teaching ideas so that you could take my book and then you would read it and then you'd have like a lesson plan already ready for you to do with the students right away after reading it. And so, and things for all different grade levels. So if you were teaching like kindergarten, you could just, after reading it, make a list of all the things you could do to make the world a better place, right? You could do that with grade 1, with kindergarten, grade 2, even grade 5 or grade 6. You could make a presentation where they research people around the world who are already doing things to make the world a better place, or people in history who've made like a really positive impact on the world, right? And so there's a research project right there, and it could tie into probably any curriculum based on like even our social studies curriculum. We could research famous Canadians who've made a positive impact, because grade 5 in Canada is all about Canada's history and geography. And so right there, right? In grade 6, it's democracy. You could focus on writing and researching people who've made a positive impact on democracy throughout history, right? Or who've even made the opposite. So there's so many teaching points throughout, and then ideas in the back on how you could use it in your classroom, where it's not just a 2-minute read. You actually then go and build a project on it. And it's to also spark adults to think critically too, because so often our children's books are actually like to like spark that childlike behavior within ourselves, if it's a silly children's book or if it's a serious one too. And so as we've been talking, I've kind of written down 5 steps to help make the world a better place. And so number 1 is start within yourself. Number 2 is to write things down so that you don't forget and that you stay focused. Number 3 is set big goals that you don't know how to achieve, so that you are striving for something bigger than yourself. Number 4 is to take tiny steps each day toward your big goal and to stay focused. And then number 5 is to make a conscious choice to flow with love and grace, which is the same line as the last line of my book. So make that conscious choice, because so much of our lives and so much of how we view our life is based on our consciousness and on our patterns. And so when we make the conscious choice to flow with love and grace and to look at situations from that of how can I make a positive impact? How can I start within myself? How can I take these tiny steps each day to achieve something quite grand, which I think all of us have the power within ourselves to do. It's just taking that time and actually being that 0.2% that are actually going to strive to achieve it and not give up and not just stop when the first roadblock hits. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, that's great. I love the 5 steps to creating a better world. Those really hit. Those feel really good. Especially, I really love that last one, the conscious choice to flow with love and grace. Like that's as high vibing as you can get, for sure. I feel that. That's amazing. And I love that it's like broken down too into like actionable steps, right? It's like, it's not this big overwhelming thing. It's like, okay, this is what you can actually do today to start on that road to get there. And so that's amazing. So I'm definitely, I just wrote it down on my to-do list is to get your book today and then write a review for you. So it's on the list. So now it's going to get done. Yeah, that's great. And then I just was thinking about, Nomsa was talking about jealousy and how, you know, you look at people that are doing big things in the world and you kind of get like maybe a little bit almost like, yeah, you feel a little bit worse about yourself because of the big things that they're doing. And like people talk about, you know, these big people, whoever you look up to, as like an overnight success or whatever. And it's like, that is not the case at all. Like the amount of work and effort that go into like just your story, Amanda, like how much behind the scenes stuff goes into making these amazing books that are now out in the world. And then someone who's an aspiring author might see that and get kind of like, oh man, but she's gotten this many books and this many sales or whatever it is. But it's like, you got to remember that it starts somewhere, right? And it starts with, I think the best place to start would be your 5-step process to creating a better world for sure. And then I was just thinking about the accountability piece one more time. And for me, I almost went the opposite of you, Nomsa, where like you wait until the very end to tell your friends and family. Once I decided that I was going to launch this apparel brand, as I was still in policing at the time and had zero experience in that world, and it seemed like kind of a bit of a lofty dream, I guess, at that point, is that I found there was a guy that I used to work with, and he was like the most negative guy you can ever imagine, and just like always finding a reason why something sucked or was not going to work or whatever. And I went and sought him out, and he was the first person I told outside of my immediate, you know, family and whatnot. And I consciously did that because I knew that what the result, or like what the, you know, the feedback I was going to get from him, I knew it was going to be negative and like, yeah, not positive at all. And that's exactly what I got from him. He was like poo-pooing my idea all over the place. But for me, that like built my resolve. I'm like, oh, you wait and see, boy, I'm going to show you. It took me a few years, but yeah. So, and again, just to kind of sum it up, is you got to just find whatever that thing is that motivates you. And for me, I kind of feed off that negative side of people saying, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, well, you don't know how stubborn I am. So just wait. It's going to take me a minute, but we'll see who's laughing at the end. And that sounds kind of low vibing, but that for me was just a really motivating thing. And then it was like a declaration to the universe for me as well. Like, okay, now I've told this guy, like, I got to do this now. And that for me was a piece that kept me accountable to keep it going when the days got hard. So, but no, this has been a great topic, and thank you, Amanda, for putting this amazing book out into the world, and yeah, putting, you know, just something positive where it's an actionable roadmap to how we can start to create a better world. Because if we focus on the negative, that's what we're going to get. Whereas if we focus on the positive and the amazing things that we can do in this world, then the world will become an amazing place. And it's all you can do. Is you can only focus on yourself and be the best authentic version of yourself, and show up in your own truth, and don't hold yourself back because of what other people may or may not say or think about you. At the end of the day, it all comes down to you and how you feel. And if it feels good in your heart, get out there and do it.
So much, Amanda, for this book. It's an amazing book, and the steps are amazing as well. I like the last one as well, like Nick. It's an amazing book, and please, can you make a comment when we finish, and just leave the link for our audience, because the book is free for now, so they can download it and have it for free. I'll put the link on YouTube as well. Whoever is watching on YouTube, they can go on Facebook. Amanda is going to do it on Facebook after we finish, please. So people can download it. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Amanda, just to find out, because sometimes it's nice, like when you read a book, those who have children, it's nice to read a book and then contact the writer as well, and just ask questions you may have, or maybe just a Zoom chat. Sometimes it's nice for 30 minutes, or just you want a coaching, or you want to find out what motivates her to become the person that she is today. You can get in touch with her through her social media, or you can actually go to my website. My website is just there. There's a telephone number, office number, and just give me a call or send me an email. I'll connect you with Amanda and Nick. And any words of encouragement, guys, before we go? Amanda, please tell the audience who you are and where they can find your book as well. Sometimes it's nice to hear from the horse's mouth.
Well, all my books are on Amazon, and you can connect to all of them through my website under the book section. And my inspiration for you is just, how are you going to flow with love and grace today and take tiny steps towards your big goal and write them down? Nick?
Yeah, I love it. So I'm, you can connect with me at my website, flowstatedesigns.ca. And yeah, I've kind of said everything I wanted to, and I'll just close with one thing, and it's truth, and speaking my truth while being authentically myself. I think that's my goal every day. So if you can take something from that, then that's amazing. And I'll just say one more thing, and it's that if you have a big goal in your life, is to just start, take that small first step, whatever that looks like for you, and have someone tell someone, and have someone keep you accountable, and just take those small steps every day.
Yeah, and just for me, I'm just like Nick, keep your uniqueness, because when you keep your uniqueness, it will help you to get to where you need to be. And also, don't fear of going for the things that you want in life. Know that whatever you want to do in life, it comes with challenges. But when you faced with those challenges, know that you're gonna climb the mountain and see what's on the other side of the mountain. But don't stay this side of the mountain. Just keep climbing until you get there. Is it easy? It's not easy. Do we know where we are going? Normally, I have a vision of where I'm going, and everything is just happens. It goes with the flow, with grace, like Amanda is saying. And when you believe and trust your abilities and have people that believe in you, you get to where you want to go. And I remember when I moved to Henley, there was a big decisions that I've made, and my ex was like, Nomsa, you live in dreams. I was like, no. And he was like, okay. He ended up coming along to what I was doing. And then I did something else, and they were like, you are just crazy. And I was like, no, I'm not crazy. I'm just going for what I want. And, you know, that process, it finished yesterday, it finished last month. And I look back and I was like, if I had listened to these people, I wouldn't be where I am today. So just go for your dreams. Regardless of what color you may be, what country you may be, your color doesn't define you, your whatever your background, it doesn't define you, but there's one man that defines you, is God. He has a voice. If you just speak to the universe to raise a voice for your success, be that activate that excellent, that inner man, excellent energy to take you where you need to be. You are good to go. Trust me. Raise a voice for me. The earth, raise a voice for me. Whoever you believe in, me, I believe in God. Live with grace, everyone, and God bless. Don't forget to download Amanda's book. At the moment, it is free for how long, Amanda?
until Friday. You can
Until
write-
Friday. All
You
she
can-
asks in return for now is when you get the book, just leave her a good review. The book is free for now until Friday and is amazing. Trust me, and leave us a message and let us know what you think about her book as well. Love to hear. God bless everyone and live with grace.